audiences. Welcome to the South Burbs Hitmen podcast with your hosts, Joe Mandel, Steven Zimmerman, and Vinnie Parisi. We're bringing you the White Sox coverage you need from the perspective of true Southsiders. Grab your Comiskey dog with an ice cold beer and meet us in section 155. Everyone get on your feet for your South Burbs Hitmen!
That ball hit deep. Way back. You can put it on the board. Yes. Jimenez in the air. Left field. He's your hero tonight. Thanks, Cubs.
Over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges throws. Out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
Alexei. Yes! 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 History! A perfect game by Mark Burley, and what an unbelievable play by Dwayne White.
First pitch starts now.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another fabulous edition of South Burbs Hitmen. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Mandel, and I'm joined, as always, by my White Sox brother-in-arms. I'm talking about Vinnie Parisi, and Steven Zimmerman is in the middle of a move and couldn't join us today. We wish him all the best, but we know he's with us in spirit. Vin alluded to the fart, and I think that's going to be a new thing now since they're so bad. At the top of every show, before I run the open, I have to do a fart sound, and I almost died laughing today when I did it because I couldn't handle myself. But Vinny, how you doing, buddy?
Farts are funny in every language. Have you ever noticed there is not a person on earth that wouldn't crack a little smirk at someone just letting out a.
Did you see the Matt Leinart fart thing on TikTok the other day?
Oh yeah. Very funny.
I feel like for science, I need to track it down and play it on the show. So I'm stall for me for like a minute, and I'm going to see if I can find it.
People, for science, especially science involving it is very important that you get to see this firsthand. In case you're wondering, the Matt Leinart fart thing that kind of, would you say it went viral? I would say it went viral.
I would
definitely
say so.
Made its rounds.
It's been all over the interwebs, whether it's TikTok or whatever. And I found it, and I'm transferring it to the air right now. Let's see, how do I do this?
It's one of those things that, like, when you see it, you're just gonna start cracking up. Like, it's not fall. It's just one of those things. Like,
it's like just perfect. I mean, and it's very dad-like too. You know, I'm uploading it as we speak, so we can all partake. This is how we're starting the show. We're talking about farts. It's the same thing as talking about the White Sox. So
one can argue a fart would win more than 16 games through 70-something or close to 70 games.
That's right.
Just saying.
All right, I have it ready. We're going to witness the excellence of Matt Leinart and a fart. Let's check it out.
Hold up, please. Everyone freeze.
Matthew.
Are you filming?
Yes.
As much as that's like an all-time dad thing, it's also an all-time wife thing to be like, Matthew, and then just start laughing. Like, you either think it's funny or you don't.
And the kids thought it was hilarious too.
Oh yeah, Daddy let one loose. Of course, it's funny.
There's the bat, and I don't know if you saw that the caption of that was like, when Dad has a very special announcement. And speaking of special announcements, it's out to the world now. Vinny wasn't here last week, so I didn't get to talk to him about it. But now that we're far enough along, I'm announcing to the world that my wife and I are expecting our second child. And Vinnie predicted it before the show, but I lied to him.
It did have to do. Yeah, what?
I lied to you on purpose. Yeah.
I didn't even ask if that's what it was. I said, does it have to do with the number 2?
Well, I knew what you were alluding to with that. So I was like, no, it doesn't have anything to do with the number 2.
You know what's funny? I knew your ass was lying. I knew that was coming. Joe, congrats, man. Congratulations to you. There's not a couple more deserving. I am very proud of you and very excited for the family.
He's proud of me. I know, it's good. They swim fast, my friend.
2-time sex haver Joe Mandel. Way to go, Joe.
Yeah, just 2 times though. That's it.
Yeah, just those 2.
We're excited. The craziest part of it, Vin, is that the due date is Christmas Day.
Whoa!
So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
You know how I feel about December-born birthdays. Let's go, little Mandel.
I know. I mean, I'm a December birthday just like you, Vin. You're what, the 9th?
I am the 9th.
How did I remember that? I'm good.
Joe,
how do you remember mine?
I am head over heels happy. A Christmas. Imagine that. Imagine that.
We're hoping it comes a little early or a little bit late, but if it comes on Christmas and it's a happy, healthy baby, that's the beautiful thing, right?
You know what? Sharing a birthday with Christmas would be like, there are pros and cons to it. I mean, if you're born on Christmas, you're born on Christmas. You share a birthday with Jesus Christ himself. But
Jesus Cristo?
Jesus Cristo. But yeah, man, what a time. What a time to be alive.
Heck yeah, man. It's been a bit.
You'll be letting those sleigh bells ring. Are you listening by the time Christmas rolls around this year?
Yeah, holidays will be extra special and different.
Yeah.
They may be spent in a hospital. They may be getting ready to go to a hospital, or we'll have a newborn at home. So either way,
I mean, you're sharing a birthday with your upcoming offspring. I have zero doubt in my mind.
Oh yeah, you're gonna put money on it.
If you played one of those games that some families play, where like they bring over,
we're gonna do it. We'll do it.
A notebook where everybody guesses. I'm throwing 10 on the 20th. I'm throwing 10 on it. Write my name in.
Vincenzo Parise. Oh, and this is sort of related, but not really related. But Father's Day, my wife and my daughter, they got me this sweet book.
Star Wars dad jokes. Flip to a random page and tell me one right now.
Hang on, I have a very specific one that I need to show you.
All right.
Because my daughter, ironically, my daughter wouldn't give me the book because she was so infatuated with it.
This is a gift for daddy, but it's more for me.
Of course, the one that I want to read, I can't find. Hang on, I'll find it.
You'll find it.
Stalling.
It's coming. How is it telling your active daughter, if you will, about the upcoming...
My active daughter.
No, I tried to make it baseball-y.
She's she's in a stage where she loves babies right now. Oh, so she's very... We told her, we said, oh, there's a baby in mommy's belly. And she goes, where is it? I don't see it.
It's there.
And now she's just like, talks about baby all the time. So it's very exciting.
Big sister alert.
That's right. And then I found the page I wanted to show. Let's see if we can get it to focus.
What did the Mandalorian say when he showed Grogu how to dance? This is the sway. Ah! That's hilarious. This is the way.
Where does Palpatine keep his Sith armies?
I don't know where.
In his sleeveys.
All
right, it's pretty great.
That's awesome.
But anyway, I had to bring the Star Wars out in the beginning. And we haven't even talked about the White Sox yet, but we're going to. We promise. listen, Vin, you weren't here last week. Zim and I just shot the shit about. Well, you were here last week.
I was gonna say 2 weeks ago I
It was
wasn't,
2 weeks ago. I blacked
and I
out.
won't
Last
be
week was a
next.
great
I
show.
won't be next week if there's a game 7
Well, if it's up
because
to Oilers girl,
I
there
will
will
have to
be.
work. Yeah, that's true. Shout out to Oilers.
Well, I mean, there's 2 more reasons for them to have a game 7, right? They got to win 2
Yep.
more.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
Love it, man.
But last week was a good conversation, getting into some of the things that make, the White Sox uninviting as a business, but also silver linings, if you will.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of silver linings this past week anyway, you can say. Eric Fedde continues to build up his trade value. He looked great the other day. He got the win, right? I'm trying to remember. I think so.
I believe so. Yeah, he did.
I mean, he's been looking
He's
good.
been incredible. He's been good.
I mean, he's got a low 3 ERA, and he's got 5 wins. I think he's 5-1. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't ever consider trading him.
Yeah, let's go to his stats right now. Yeah, he's 5-1 with a 3.09 ERA. He's thrown 87 innings with 83 strikeouts, and most impressively, Vin, a WHIP of 1.17. I mean,
Very
Eric Fedde, you could argue, again, you hear them talking about dealing Crochet, whatever. You know how we feel about it. We'd love to keep Crochet. But for me, Eric Fedde is going to get the most return right now I don't know. Do you agree with that? I don't know if I agree with that. You don't think so? You think Crochet would fetch more?
I think Crochet would fetch the biggest haul of any player on the White Sox, including Luis Robert Jr. Yeah.
I was about to ask.
He's a 23-year-old pitcher or 24-year-old.
How long is he controlled?
I think he's got 3 more years of control.
Okay,
And he's 24 and he's lefty. And he's leading Major League Baseball in strikeouts. So I do think a guy like that definitely comes with a heavy tag. I'd extend him. I'd give him whatever he wants. Lefties that dominate like that don't come around on trees. Fedde's a great story. They'll get something for him. A team will give up a top 10 prospect in their system for Fedde. I think it's possible if they think they could go win the World Series. If you're Philly and you're like, okay, we got freaking Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, and one of them might win the Cy Young, but we want to add like a number 4 or a number 5. He'd be a number 2 or a number 3 in most rotations, but here we could win the World Series with him as a number 4. I could see something like that. The New York Yankees, a little bit. Garrett Cole's going to return on Wednesday, but maybe a little bit of insurance for him because Nestor Cortez hasn't pitched all that well, but Carlos Rodon has, and a couple other guys in the Yankee rotation have.
It's impressive how the Yankees. Sorry, I just wanted to say it's impressive what the Yankees have done with not only winning but with their pitching and piecemealing things together.
Yeah, 100%. And so a team like that'll go for Fedde. He did what he needed to do to revive his career. He went to Japan, Korea. It was one of those.
Japan. I think it was Japan.
He went and played in another league, and he had some tweaks. And he tweaked his mechanics. He tweaked his approach to pitching. Probably tweaked his attitude on it a little bit. I don't know. I don't mean in that like a negative way. Just like it is an attitude to be like, I have to change something if I'm going to ever have success in Major League Baseball again. He went over there and straight up dominated. And it's not an easy league to dominate. I'm pretty sure he went 20-2 as a starter last year. And to do that and win their version of the Cy Young best pitcher in the league, I mean, it's not easy. It doesn't always translate back to the U.S. either in Major League Baseball, but it has with him. His mechanic tweaks have worked a little bit. He's not dominating the way he did there. He's not about to go 20-2. He's also on the worst team in the league. But if he goes to a good team and he's in a good situation and he's got good pitchers and a good bullpen and he's going to get some run support, I think the Eric Fedde story could turn into a pretty happy one by the time it's all said and done. I would consider trading him.
Yeah, for sure. And our buddy in the chat, it's our guy Gabe. Luis Robert Jr. needs to be traded. He is not as great. I know we talked about a little bit about it last week. We went as far as to call him a bust for the White Sox. Given what the expectations were and are with his health, dogging it at certain points, his defense, don't get me wrong, he's had great defense, but there's times where he's not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not like fully there. He's got lapses in the field. He's got lapses on the base pads. He's been a bust for the White Sox currently, but he's got a lot of potential. I think we all agreed that if we get the right package, you got to trade Robert, right?
Yeah, I would trade Robert. I've never had the feeling about a guy the way I do Luis Robert. He is a bust, in my opinion. But when I think of a bust, I don't necessarily always think of player who stinks. I think of player who
stinks.
No, he doesn't stink. Like, he's an above average baseball player when he's on the field. He might even be like well above average baseball player when he's on the field. He's hardly on the field. I mean, it's just a fact. And he goes into every season saying this is going to be the year he plays a bunch. Last year, he kind of played a lot, but then he got hurt right at the end. It kept him from getting the 40th home run. Like, I know, and the difference between 38 home runs and 40 home runs on a 63-win team is, it's peanuts. It's nothing. It doesn't matter. But, sometimes you'd like to see a guy reach a plateau, especially if you're cheering for a team that's stinky. You would rather just watch your guy. But I think another team could get more out of Robert. For what the White Sox expected him to be, for what he was signed to do, he is a bust. I would trade him mainly because of injury. I would not trade him if he wasn't always so hurt. Garrett Crochet, he's been great. I keep saying I would extend him. He's not much younger than Robert, but he's younger. They're both young in baseball terms.
Sure.
I just think Crochet, he had the one injury. It was Tommy John related, and every pitcher in the league has Tommy John at one time or another. Garrett Crochet's was last year. I would not consider Garrett Crochet injury prone.
Yeah, me either. I mean, the guy happened young in his career, and the most important thing with Crochet is they really took their time with it. They didn't rush him back. If I remember correctly, he sat out for almost 2 seasons, a year and like 3/4, something like that. Is that right?
He missed all of 22, and he really didn't pitch all that much last year. And in his first full season as a reliever, 2021, he only had like 60-something innings. So, but Garrett Crochet, it's weird, man. You go back and you look at these 2020 drafts in every sport, and the development pattern for almost all of them are strange. Hockey, even. The development, it's just, it was COVID. They didn't play. And Crochet, he got drafted out of Tennessee. Tennessee's season ended after one game. And then Crochet was ineligible to play for the taxi squad in Schaumburg. Mm-hmm. So he either had to come pitch in Major League Baseball or just see it in spring training, which is also like Jake Berger making it back is a borderline phenomenon because it was the same thing with him. He couldn't go play with Schaumburg. And unlike Crochet, he didn't even get a chance with the Major League club. He had, all right, see you in spring, Jake. Hopefully there's a minor league deal by then. There was. But it's crazy what has happened. And Crochet's made the best of it based on the hand that he was dealt.
He certainly has. Getting back to some folks we talked about on the trade block last week that would be valuable chips. One of them has certainly not helped his trade value at all, and that's Michael Kopech. He lately has been ineffective, let's call it that. Vinnie, what's going on with Michael Kopech, and can they still get anything for him?
I do not believe they can get much of anything for Michael Kopech. I believe he is closer to being DFA'd than the closer long-term for the Chicago White Sox.
Wow. How things change. Yeah. Yeah, there's a guy that he had some mental health stuff going on. He had Tommy John too, right? I think he had Tommy John right after his first.
He had Tommy John 6 starts.
Like 4 starts, 6 starts. Yeah. And that's another guy that Tommy John and mental health stuff. And, he's never really been the same. I mean, the playoff run in 2021 with Tony La Russa,
Yep.
he was not good.
No, he was good in the
was
regular
terrible.
season as a reliever.
Yes, and then in the playoffs, he got absolutely destroyed. And this is a guy that's been so inconsistent, but at this point, I think you got to hold on to him. I don't know what you're going to get for him unless you throw him in a package deal. Maybe a change of scenery helps him out. It's unfortunate because we all thought that we could maybe get something for him.
Garrett Crochet is everything we thought Michael Kopech would be, like to a T.
Remember when we were all like, wow, he's opening day starter, and now it's like so clear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Michael Kopech, I've never been more mystified by a prospect. I don't get it, because when he was a prospect, I still stand by my evaluations. I will never get overly hyped about prospects in the White Sox organization ever again. At least it's going to take a really long time to build my trust back. But I still stand by, at the time, what I saw with my own two eyes was a pitcher who can throw 100 with movement. I can count on my hands the amount of guys that can do that. DeGrom, Garrett Cole, like most guys' fastball that goes 100 is a straight line, and it's all about command. Michael Kopech, he would throw it 102 and it would zigzag, and it was unlike anything I've heard or seen. So, like, I stand by my evaluation. The problem is the two-seamer just doesn't do that anymore. Yeah. It has no movement. And then he mixed it in with his slider, and it was like this beautiful pitch, or this beautiful, sequence that he would be able to pull off. And his repertoire was like perfect for his style of pitching. And he had the arm talent. I honestly thought like $300 million wasn't out of the question for him. That's just what I thought based on what I saw from him as a prospect. And one thing led to another. And before you know it, 2 years go by without him throwing a single pitch in a game that counts. And he was good as a reliever in 21. By the time we get around to 22, he had a couple flashes. You might remember that game against the Yankees in 2022 where he took a no-hitter into the seventh. I mean, we're talking about the Yankees. They didn't have Soto back then, but we're still talking Judge, Stanton, LeMahieu at the time, like Brett Gardner, like these guys who were professional hitters in the league. And it just hasn't been the same basically since the end of 22.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like if they do find a way to trade him, like does the team that acquires him put him in as a starter? Do they put him in as a reliever? I mean, they have options, but we all thought it was kind of weird when Kopech got demoted to the bullpen when there's not a whole lot of arm talent at the top of the season rotation. There is now.
I also, if I was another team, I would look at some of the other White Sox pitchers that are pitching well elsewhere. I would really think twice about it. Like, I'm trying to find, I have something. Yeah. So Reynaldo Lopez currently has a 1.64 ERA.
Yeah, I know.
Dylan Cease has a 3.36 ERA.
And that's with Dylan Cease getting absolutely shelled yesterday.
Yeah. Lance Lynn has
like
a
7 runs.
Yeah. Lance Lynn, 3.97. Aaron Bummer, who couldn't get anybody out, 3.63. Jake Diekman, 2.67. He had a 7.91 with the White Sox. Joe Kelly, 3.42. These are 6 pitchers who were supposed to be just dogs with the White Sox. Some of them were at times. Lynn third in Cy Young, Cease second in Cy Young. Lopez had his moments. Aaron Bummer was a top 10 reliever early on. He just lost his way and then, really fell off. Now with the Braves, he's been amazing. So, like, if you're evaluating Michael Kopech, and I see that Reynaldo Lopez has a 1.64 ERA with the Braves. Jake Diekman has a 2.67 with the Mets. That's the most telling to me. Because if I had to compare Michael Kopech stylistically to any of these guys, it would be Jake Diekman. So
yeah, is that more commentary on Ethan Katz, or is that more commentary on the White Sox organization?
I think there's I have enough fingers to point at multiple people. Ethan Katz is part of it.
Because you can look at Ethan Katz this year and say, wow, he's done a great job with his starters. But then you look at the bullpen and they've been freaking horrendous.
Yeah. Now, the bullpen doesn't have names that you would expect to be great, and neither does the rotation. And listen, I know Zach Thorpe got shelled, but I would continue letting him go. Like, that's the first time he got shelled in 4 years. Like, it's the major leagues. Like, let him figure it out. I wholeheartedly believe that. But, Ethan Katz, he's had his good moments and his bad moments in his time. I've been mostly disappointed. It could be because of the White Sox, the developmental system, the philosophies that surround the organization, the lack of run support, quite frankly, the lack of defense behind some of these guys. There are all sorts of factors that go into it. But I do think if Michael Kopech got scooped up by a team that I would consider a pitching factory, it wouldn't shock me if he moved over and had a crap ton of success. Now, Jake Diekman on the Mets, I really can't explain that because the Mets seem to F everything up. But like Lance Lynn's on the Cardinals. The Cardinals have a billion World Series and they develop players well. They they're mid right now, but like organizationally, that's like a solid organization. Like they're kind of like the Ravens of the MLB or the Steelers of the MLB. Like they don't win the championship every year right now, but like that the way they do things is right. The Padres, same thing. The Braves, pitching factory. If he went to a team like the Guardians, pitching factory. The Rays probably the Rays are probably the biggest reason Diekman got paid by the Mets, and he's there right now, probably with some of the stuff he picked up along the way in Tampa Bay. But I mean, it's sad to see what happens to White Sox pitchers when they move along. But in Michael Kopech's case, for his sake, I hope that ends up happening for him as well, because I like him as a dude.
Yeah, me too, man. It's been unfortunate, but obviously we all wish the best for him. At the top of this, I have to rechange the open to the show because he was the only pitcher at the top of the season. I'm like, oh yeah, everyone knows Kopech, so I'll put him in the countdown. But I'll just change it. I'll change it to whoever's left. I'll wait until the deadline to make that change.
I'm pretty sure my own father blames me for Kopech being as bad as he is, because every time I hyped him up. I did. I have 2 Kopech jerseys. Like, I hyped him up. And when he was with Boston, I loved him. When the Red Sox drafted him, I was pumped. My second favorite team got one of my favorite prospects. Like, let's go. And then they trade him to the White Sox for sale. Like, it was just perfect. And I hyped him up. I told everybody he was going to make 300 schmil in his career. And so I guess maybe it is my fault. One of my bad takes. We all throw a bad take out here and there. That was one of my misses for sure. Michael Kopech.
Remember my miss from last year?
Wouldn't that be 2 years ago now?
Depending on
the Guardians game.
Oh, that was a whole nother level.
Oh, and that wasn't really a take. That was more like a jinx.
I was going to say, last year I was telling that they should cut Luis Robert. Remember?
Oh, yeah. No, I think I tweeted that probably too. Yeah, but you know what? Dog crap effort running to first base. The team follows their stars effort. I mean, there's not a single player on the White Sox besides Garrett Crochet that I would be even moderately annoyed seeing go away, including Robert. Would not mind. I won't cry. I won't have any hard feelings. I'll be annoyed if they trade Crochet. I think they might. There's a chance. I'm ready to be annoyed. But nobody else, no. Team stinks.
Yeah. Last year was like a gut punch when they traded Berger because like we were all so excited to have continuous relationship with Jake on the show. And we're still going to try to get him back on with Ashlyn at some point, but that one hurt because we had such that connection to Jake. But
we like Jake, but I may or may not have a friend that pointed out to me that Jake Eater's actually been incredible lately, and Jake Berger has a negative WAR.
Yeah, it might work out in the long run. We'll see.
But we're Jake Berger guys. Who cares
Either
about
way,
that?
in the moment, it really kicked us in the nuts. So, speaking of getting kicked in the nuts, the White Sox have a 3-game set starting tomorrow against the Houston Astros, which is weird. They've been on the road for a while. They come home for 3 games and they go back on the road. But they get a 3-game set against the Houston Astros, and I might as well run one segment while we can. Let's take a look at this week's White Sox Weekly. Yeah, so like I said, 3-game series coming up against the Houston Astros. I need to blow that up a little bit bigger so that everyone can see. There we go. Tomorrow night, Jonathan Cannon going up against Framber Valdez. Valdez, he's been up and down this year, but, he's still under 4, barely, at ERA. Strikeout guy, 51 strikeouts. Cannon, as we all know, has been, for the lack of a better word, inconsistent.
Mid.
Obviously,
Very mid.
Yeah. Here's the game that's going to be a good one. Hunter Brown has been underwhelming for the Astros this year, but he's a strikeout pitcher, 76 strikeouts. A lot of those losses, this guy likes to go up the bomb, so it could be a good day for Luis Robert against Crochet, who somehow with a 3.16 ERA is 6-5, which is nuts to me. But check out that strikeout number, 116 Ks. Wednesday night, and Vinnie, I forgot to mention this at the top of the show. The White Sox announced via email on Saturday that you can catch a game on the 100 level the whole season on weeknights for $15 or on weekends for $20. That's for all games, including the Dodgers, the Astros, all the great matchups the White Sox have. So go watch Garrett Crochet pitch on the 100 level against who I would say at one point the Astros were one of the best teams in the American League. Maybe not this year, but you can check out a great team for $15, and you get to see Crochet, who's going to be a stud in this league, whether or not he plays for the White Sox or not. So that'll be a good one to see on Wednesday night. Sox fans, get your butts out there, buy some beer from people that I know. They don't know who's throwing for the Astros on Thursday. It's not officially been announced, but you get Flexen going for the Sox, who's been flexing terrible. Yeah, it sounded better in my head before I said it, but again, they've been underwhelming, but they've been way better than the White Sox. So again, I don't expect there to be a whole lot of competitive games in this series. The Crochet one gives us the best chance to win. We'll see what happens there. So 3-game set. They're off tonight, which is great because they've been playing a lot of Monday nights lately. And then we get to go against Detroit, which there's none of those pitching matchups are officially out. But you have to imagine that Drew Thorpe will be pitching probably on Friday, perhaps Saturday, depending on how they shift things around with the off day. But I will say, Vin, we got a 3-game set coming up against the Tigers this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Don't know the matchups. But I do want to comment a little bit about Drew Thorpe, who looked fantastic in his debut. Vin, I mean, this guy looks like he's everything that's been advertised.
Yeah, I mean, he's amazing. And he got shelled by the team that was in the World Series last year. You're going to get shelled in Major League Baseball. No, but it was a struggle. It was a struggle of a start compared to his first. And, it's going to happen from time to time. He's a developing young man. He's been dominant everywhere he's been. And he's been pretty good in the MLB for the most part. He's going against the Houston Astros team that has stars, that has the will to win, the ability to win. I know right now they're coming into this series, but it would be Detroit that he's going to face. But even still, Detroit, they're 34-37. They're not anything spectacular. They got off to a real hot start to start the year, but I mean, it's a better team than it's one of the teams he'll face throughout the year that I think could give him some good opportunity to go out there and throw well.
I take that
when
back.
you
He got shelled then.
Yeah, he got shelled yesterday.
I didn't realize that he gave up 7 earned runs.
Yeah, and then his first start was brilliant.
Yeah, the problem with that start, Vin, is he walked 5 guys.
Can't walk players in MLB.
You can't walk 5 guys. You can't do that.
Yeah, the runs are going to score. You're basically handing out free passes. But when you fit him in with the rest of the rotation, and if you got Fedde throwing the ball well and Crochet throwing the ball well, Cannon doing his thing, it's not the most terrible rotation of all time, especially for a team that's 19-54.
Right.
They're the only team in the league without 20 wins, which they'll get that 20th win probably this week at some point, I assume. Maybe. But,
maybe.
Or, like I said, he's been good everywhere, and I'd keep throwing him. I wouldn't send him down. I would not send him down. I'd let him ride it out, see what comes of this season for him a little bit. Because my thing with pitchers is every pitcher has a number attached to their arm, and that number goes down for each and every person with every single pitch you throw. And when that number reaches 0, you're in trouble. This is like in a career. Every pitch could be your last, so throw them in the major leagues. That's kind of where I feel about that. But as far as playing the Astros beforehand, it's the worst we've seen the Astros since they were really bad in 2012 when they took Mark Appel with the overall pick over Chris Bryant.
Wasn't that their last year in the National League, I think?
It probably was. Yeah. And, they're 33-39. Let's say they sweep the White Sox, and all of a sudden they're 37-39, which puts them in second place in the AL West.
Yeah.
Which would probably get them
a wild card spot.
It'd get them close to a wild card spot. The West is terrible. And the Mariners are good. I think the Mariners are good. I like the Mariners. They're 43-31. That I think they should be the front runners for Luis Robert Jr. Because out of all the teams I'm looking at here that are in postseason contention, they are the one most deprived of an offensive star. I know they have Julio, but it's not enough game-breaking offense for them. I think Luis Robert Jr. would do them well. But if you're the Astros, as long as Seattle's offense looks, I don't want to say pedestrian because pedestrian is not the right word. They are 43-31, but as long as they look beatable, if you're an elite team, then I would consider myself in the mix if I'm Houston. And there's no reason they shouldn't be coming into this series hoping to sweep the White Sox. I bet Boston wishes they played a little bit better against the White Sox because
I'm sure.
They're 37-35 after having a Benny's banana split with the White Sox last weekend. I guess it's 2 weekends ago now. Mm-hmm. And, since then they've taken 2 out of 3 from the New York Yankees and the Philadelphia Phillies. They're the first team in MLB history to beat the team that came into the series with the best record in the league back-to-back series, Boston. And so if they did that, played better against the White Sox, they'd be in a wild card spot right now. They're only a handful of games out. But, I mean, you look at this Astros team and, where they need to do to get to Boston and Minnesota's kind of territory there, it starts with a big sweep against the White Sox. The Tigers, I think the Tigers are the 4th best team in the division, and it's going to stay that way. And they could sweep the White Sox. I would still think that. I'm buying the Twins to end up winning the division. And the Guardians will probably make playoffs. I hope Kansas City makes playoffs. I want to watch Bobby Witt Jr. play in the postseason. But it's a crazy scene right now. Do
you remember where Bobby Witt Jr. got drafted? Do you remember where he got drafted?
Bobby Witt Jr. Did he go 4th overall after?
Who went before Bobby Witt Jr.? Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. He might be the fastest player in the MLB. I'd like to
Yeah,
see
he's
him
really
and
good.
Ronald Acuna Jr. race. But I think Bobby Witt would
Well,
take it. I know
right now, I
Acuna's
think I know who
injured.
would win.
Well, I mean, me and you would beat
Right,
Acuna in a race right now. But
I don't know. Would we?
yeah, come on,
Probably.
Joe.
Probably.
You could beat a guy who tore an ACL in a race. Maybe.
Yeah, I
Maybe
would
not.
hope so.
Maybe not. But yeah, I like that Kansas City team.
I don't
Man.
think
They're
I don't
fun.
think he would try it. I don't think he would race us, Vin.
No, of course not.
Too much
But
money on the line.
when do the White Sox play the Royals next? That's the real question. I want to watch the White Sox play the Royals.
I'm pulling up the schedule right now.
Got the Astros. Then you got the Tigers for 3. You roll in Monday.
Why does
That's
it
the
show me
Dodgers
completed?
series next week, Monday and Tuesday.
Which you can go for dirt cheap as well for that. They play in Kansas City on July 19th for
Heck
a
yeah.
3-game set. And you can see them on the south side starting July 29th, 30th, and 31st. And one of those is a $5 Tuesday. So you can go get some good deals at the ballpark, spend some money, and make all the people working in the ballpark some money. Because they need it this year,
Yeah.
folks.
Seriously. I want to go to the Royals. I want to go to the Dodgers too. That might be a little more difficult, but I want to see the Royals. I'm going to try and make that the end of July, last series in July.
Yep,
I'm
and
going to
it's
see what I can do. I
$5
want to go.
Tuesday, man.
Yeah, $5
You
Tuesday
can
for the
and
Royals.
you can get the $15 promo, sit in section 152, which is a great seat for $15. You certainly can't beat that. And get $5 beers, dogs, whatever. I don't remember what all the $5 Tuesday stuff is, but certainly worth it. Cheapest ballpark admission in the majors, and if you go on a Tuesday, probably some of the cheapest concessions.
Love that.
I think I might have a graphic from when we had. Let's see. Do I have a $5 Tuesday graphic? Oh, I have the banner saved. I can tell you. Here you go. Returning for 2024, fans will again enjoy additional savings through $5 Tuesdays, which include $5 Miller or Modelo drafts, Vienna hot dogs or Polishes, Beggar's Pizza, nachos, and more.
I feel
Look at
so
me
bad.
saving that.
That's so disgusting, though, how much they're begging people to come to the games. Like, what a bunch of morons. Like, people will come to the games and overpay for your concessions if you put a product on the field that's good.
Yeah.
I just don't understand the lack of caring about that aspect of it. Like, it will never, ever, ever make sense to me. I don't know if there's a way you can explain it to make me get why Jerry Reinsdorf is the way he is, knowing how much the man loves money and how poor of an approach he takes to using this asset to make more money. It just doesn't make any sense in my brain.
I will tell you one thing. This whole $15 weekday games on the 100 level, the second week of August, Vinny, they got a 3-game set against the Yankees, and you can go to that for 15 bones.
They're
And one of
including
them,
Yankees and Dodgers series on these
Yep,
promos.
and-
That is just wild.
and one of them is a $5 Tuesday again against the Yankees on August 13th. So
That's unbelievable.
that's tempting.
Yeah, I mean, you could go see Judge and Stanton, or not Judge and Stanton, Judge and Soto. I mean, you'll see Stanton too, but Judge
Maybe
and
some new
Soto,
additions
man.
by August.
Yeah, seriously. I heard our guy Tony Rizzo, 4 to 6 weeks.
Is he
I
out
forget
that
why.
long?
Yeah. Him and Mookie Betts.
Yeah, Mookie
Betts
Betts
is 4 to 6
fractured
weeks
hand.
as well.
That was a
Against the
bullet he
Royals
took
of
to
all
his hand.
teams. It's crazy how those little bones in your hands just fracture, and when they're broken, you can't hold a bat. It's just bizarre how the hand bones work.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason football players always have their fingers taped.
Yeah.
Like when I was a lineman back in high school, I had hairline fractures in every one of these fingers, and I would just tape it all together and put it in a freaking glove and just I don't know. It's not much you can do. I just let it heal.
You were built different, Joe. You were built different.
Yeah, something like that. Sure. We'll go with that.
But yeah, that's my take on White Sox Weekly.
Yeah, speaking of takes, thanks for the segue, Vin. Let's dive into this week's guaranteed take. All right, man. I got a great text from my buddy Nick Wolek today. And I want to give him a shout out for
What up, Nick?
providing us with the guaranteed take for today. So he said, is the pitch clock creating injuries? Pitchers with max velocity equals need time to recover. 15 seconds hurts these guys. Should we be targeting pitchers with control over velocity? And I think it's a valid question. I think I know the answer, but I want to get Vinny's take on it because it's an interesting question.
It is an interesting question, and I don't fully have the answer. I don't think it's impossible. Based on my brain and what my brain tells me, it's no. Because I just don't think so. The reason I don't think so is because it's been a problem long before the pitch clock that some of these young gentlemen that play Major League Baseball are dealing with these injuries to their elbow. And
Sure.
I don't think there's any correlation with the pitch clock. I think if it's 20 seconds in between pitches instead of 15 or 25, I don't believe the recovery time in between each pitch is significant compared to the way it was before the pitch clock came into place. I believe the reason so many pitchers are getting injured right now is because we have them throwing 100 at 17 and they're throwing curveballs and sliders at 12, and the human arm / human elbow is not designed to throw a baseball. We are breaking a law of God every time we play baseball. The human arm is not supposed to do that. But it's cool that it does. You know, everybody wants to play baseball. It's cool. It's fun. But you need to take care of your body when you're doing it. I think we have a serious problem developing pitchers because we're setting them up for Tommy John by the time they're 26. I mean, name a top starter in the MLB. I can think of one, and I'm going to jinx the crap out of this guy if I say his name. He's a former Chicago White Sox pitcher that pitches currently for the San Diego Padres. He is the only guy I can think of that throws with a heavy velocity, 98 plus regularly, and hasn't had the old TJ. Name another one. Name another starter. They've all had it. Every high volume velocity guy.
Verlander, yep. Max, why can I spit out the last name? What the heck is this? He works for the Rangers, Max.
Scherzer?
Scherzer, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, all these guys. The only guy I was thinking of, and the guy I'm thinking of is a reliever, but Aroldis Chapman. He was a fireballer. He never had Tommy John, did he?
Who's this?
Aroldis Chapman. I know he's not a starter, but he did throw for like 106 his whole career.
Yeah, I don't know if Aroldis did, but Aroldis, he threw for 1 inning every other day.
I know.
But I get what you're saying. Like, to throw that hard and never have it would be interesting. I am seeing an article from March 15th, 2017. Cubs prospect Dylan Cease flirted with the idea of having Tommy John when he was a kid, but he never went through with it.
Flirted with it when he was a kid, huh? Well, whatever it is, don't mess with it now, Dylan. I'm sure we just put the stake in your coffin, my friend. But hopefully, I mean, he did just get destroyed yesterday. I was winning my fantasy matchup. I would have won if he didn't get shelled yesterday. But anyway,
these are the top 25 highest paid pitchers in MLB right now. Number 1 is Shohei Ohtani. He is actively recovering from Tommy John surgery. He's allowed to hit because he's an alien. Justin Verlander of the Houston Astros, he's in second place. He's tied with Max Scherzer. Both have had Tommy John. 4th, Jacob deGrom. Tommy John. Garrett Cole. I don't believe Garrett. I might have one. I don't believe Garrett Cole has had Tommy John. I can confirm right now, but I don't think he is in danger of having it right now. But he avoided it and he's coming back from elbow
inflammation, right?
Inflammation, yeah, and he did have an MRI back in March, it looks like, and he had no tear of his UCL. So rest in rehab, fixed it. But I mean, you got to figure coming for Garrett Cole, the Grim Reapers. Grim Reaper has started knocking on his doors. But
for stories like that, it's always like the guy comes back for like 3 weeks. It was like Liam Hendricks the year that he had cancer and he came back.
Yeah. Garrett Crochet. They thought he needed it after 2020 when he came in on his draft year, and then they were like, nah, and then he pitched okay in 21, and then by 22, back to the whole old story. But like Strasburg, Glasnow, I don't know Yamamoto's history, but he don't count. Rodon has had it. Sonny Gray has had it. Aaron Nola. I mean, all these guys. Lucas Giolito's recovering from it right now. He's the 23rd highest paid player. Chris Sale, former White Sox ace, he's tied for 24th highest paid player, even in his late years. He's had it. I mean, it's crazy how this way of developing has taken pitchers down.
And then I always get interested when you talk about this. You and Zim had this conversation, I think, earlier this year. But talk to me a little bit about like putting spin rates in the curveball and why that starting so young puts a strain on the body, and just that the whole explanation there is very interesting to me.
Yeah, in my opinion, the human body it's a machine in a lot of ways. It's a machine not designed to throw curveballs. We learned how to do that because we're sick. We're a highly functioning, developed species that figured out a way to manipulate our bodies for recreational purpose, aka playing baseball. It's very difficult to have kids do it, though, because kids are underdeveloped in just about every aspect of their body, whether it be their brain, their arm, any part of their body, their feet, their legs. Everything about them is underdeveloped. So when you're having them put that much stress on their elbow at such a young age, and you're throwing that slider, I mean, I feel it when I go like this, you feel it in your elbow. And I'm 29. Yeah. I'm 29 and out of shape. If I was 15 and the ligaments in my arms are still growing and everything's developing still, and you're throwing what are you throwing realistically if you're a high-end pitching prospect in high school? You're probably in like the late 80s by that point. So you're throwing 87 and then mixing it in with junk. And it's awesome. These kids are good. They prioritize, though, having nasty curves and high velo because that's what will get them noticed by colleges, which is ultimately how you'll get drafted and maybe have a chance to make it to the show. Where if you're a guy like Kyle Hendricks or Greg Maddux, I'm naming borderline Hall of Famers and actual Hall of Famers, but like guys with that style, John Lester, Mark Burley, low 90s, low and slow, but
swing
like effective.
Or ground out pitchers. Yeah.
You're not going to beat out a guy who looks like Chris Sale out there. You're just not going to do it. No scout whose job it is not to worry about the well-being of other humans. His job is to find good baseball players to help an organization win. They're going to take the guy who throws 100, who has a slider that dives 3 feet across the plate. And that to me is way more of a detriment to pitchers' long-term health than a pitch clock.
I love that.
And that is all with zero scientific. I'm not a doctor. I'm mostly stupid. I'm way closer to being homeless than a doctor. But I watch a lot and I pay attention a lot, and I believe what I'm saying. I really do. When I have kids, Joe, I'm not going to be, if they want to pitch, that's great, but I'm going to be very hesitant about their long-term arm health if they do show a talent that they can throw hard. And like, I'm probably going to wait on curveballs and sliders. I like a slider better than a curveball anyway. I think it's more effective in pure baseball terms.
It is. I agree.
But we're going to be real careful with that. I firmly plan on having kids, and I firmly have them if they want. I'll help them play baseball if they'd like, and I will absolutely have some opinions on pitching and how not to hurt yourself.
See, that's so interesting to me, man. I appreciate the breakdown there. It's something, as a guy that never pitched, I mean, I would throw, but, I don't even think about that. But just what you were telling me, like you can feel it in your elbow, just if you, twist your hand. And you're doing it at a very violent 90 to
right here.
95. Yeah, for sure. It's scary stuff. And yeah, I'm with you, man. It's there's a reason that you're seeing more and more guys get this. These guys are training like machines. Kind of leads into another question that my buddy Nick sent me. He goes that the Sox don't know how to develop these guys. He goes, plus, how do the major leaguers all have the same injuries? Eloy, Moncada, Robert all have hip issues, which means they have mobility issues. Do we not have mobility trainers on staff? And I was thinking about this. I mean, the White Sox training staff hasn't been the same since Herb Schneider retired. I don't know what's going on with their training staff, but I tend to agree that there's definitely something that's missing in the Sox clubhouse and across all of Major League Baseball.
I think your last line right there nails my opinion, because it is a problem in all of baseball for the most part. So it's hard for me to blame just the White Sox staff specifically. Now, make no mistake about it. There's problems. I would can everyone if I could and start over again. But I do think for the most part, Eloy and Moncada and Robert and this guy and that guy, they're all freaking injury prone. And they all would be getting hurt just as much on any other team. And I'm not sure there's anything that anybody could do about it because they're just mostly soft.
Excuse me as I yawn.
I know I'm rude. Like, I'm a very foul boy when I talk about these guys sometimes. But that's just my opinion. Like, there's no way you're Eloy and you can be that much of a physical specimen and you get hurt that much. Like, there's got to be something wrong with his off-season procedure, with his diet, with something. There's no way that it could just be that, like, inconsistent. Like, I don't think you should be tearing your hamstrings as often as he, like, what kind of prep? I just want to know what kind of preparation goes into some of these guys' routines where they're so often injured. And yeah, maybe part of that is on the White Sox staff, but I also think it's partially on them as the players.
I hear you, man. Yeah, it's all the above. I'm amazed that we got an hour of White Sox talk out that easy. I mean, I know we let off with some other various things, but yeah, start with the fart and end with the fart. But in conclusion, you can go see this team. I know a lot of people don't want to support the team right now, but there's so many quality teams coming to town, specifically on weekdays. If you can find a way to get to the park on a weekday, Sox getting you tickets for $15 on the 100 level. I mean, that's unbelievable. And $20 for a weekend is also a steal to be able to sit. I believe it's section 152 or some of the outside corners of the outfield. So, tucked away, but there's still great seats for the price. Do it. I know I'm probably going to go to at least one more. And right now, this is a little snippet for all the White Sox fans. If you check in to go to the ball game when you get there, you can check in the MLB Ballpark app, put your seat or whatever. You get a 40% off coupon to come to your next Sox game. It's good for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to buy. I don't know if you could stack it with the other deal, but if you can, that's unbelievable. You can get into the ballpark for next to nothing. So definitely worth it. There's some great matchups coming up. Not so much for winnability for the White Sox, but to watch other teams that are going to have greats like Shohei Ohtani, who's probably going to go down as one of the best players in the game. So you can go see him for 15 smackaroos. You know what a game would cost you in LA? Probably not that. Probably
No,
100,
definitely
probably
not
100,
that.
probably 10 to 12 times more for a ticket.
And make no mistake, even though guaranteed rate field can be a little annoying to get into sometimes, Dodger Stadium's worse. Dodger
never been.
Stadium is worse. I've never been either. I just know the traffic and it being like in the middle of nowhere is a big problem for LA people.
Well,
Similar to
one of these days.
Tropicana in Tampa Bay.
Except people actually go to the games in LA.
Yeah. But I heard something I will never make fun of a Rays fan ever again for that. Their TV ratings are through the roof. The ballpark is that much of an a-hole to get to that fans would just say, I'd rather watch at home. And they do.
Wow.
They ride or die with their team from home more than any
wild.
team they probably rely on fans watching them from home more than any team in the league.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, I've been to a Miami Marlins game, but not to a Tampa Bay Rays game. But I went to a Marlins game.
You've been to a Marlins game? That's pretty sick.
I went their first season. I went when they had that monstrosity in center field.
Oh.
Although it was kind of cool. It would kind of go off and the fish would move on home runs and stuff. Stanton was still playing for them at the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm sure Stanton hit one or two off those.
I will say it is the only time that I went to a ball game. It was probably like 120 in Miami that day. And it's a dome or whatever you want to call it. It's the only game I've ever been to where I was freezing cold on the hottest day of summer because there was so much AC pumping in.
Wow.
So yeah, little known fact. But I think that puts a cap on the baseball talk, Vin. But talk some hockey with me, Vin. We're in the Stanley Cup final. Of course, you got Bar Down talking hockey on Wednesday afternoon here on the Bar Room. Depending on what happens, you could have a new Stanley Cup champion, or we could be moving on. So, Vin, talk to me. Oilers, Panthers. What do you think? The Oilers were commanding in their latest victory. Well, their first victory of the series.
The Oilers have scored more goals in the series than the Florida Panthers, and they're down 3-1. They have outplayed Florida for 2 of the 3 first games. I would say game 1 and game 3, Edmonton dominated and lost. And that points right to the blue paint. Sergei Bobrovsky, the great goaltender of the Florida Panthers. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's won the Vezina Trophy twice. He's got all these wins. He's 35, so he probably has 2, 3, 4 more years left of being, a high-level goaltender. Like, goalies age a little differently than skaters. Lundqvist played till he was 40. Brodeur played till he was 42. Like, Waugh played up there in age. Unless guys like Corey Crawford sustain an injury or something like that makes them want to step away, or Tuukka Rask, stuff like that. Guys in goal, mostly they'll play if they can still stop the puck. And Bobrovsky, he could still stop the puck as well as anyone in the league. And if they win the Stanley Cup, he's going to be the Conn Smythe Trophy winner as playoff MVP. They have a chance on home ice tomorrow. The Oilers haven't won since Wayne Gretzky last played for. No, I take that back. They haven't won since the year after they traded Gretzky and then still won the Stanley Cup with Messier and Curry and all them. It was their 5th Stanley Cup victory in a row.
They won 5 years in a row?
Yeah, they won 5 in a row, I believe.
God.
Or 5 and 6. It was something crazy. They won a lot in the 80s. And that's the last time they won. The Florida Panthers, they're in year number 30. and they've never won the Stanley Cup. They've been in the final twice. Last year was, or 3 times. Last year was the second. They lost to the Vegas Golden Knights in 6 games, but they're back in this year. When I think of this series, I think I've never in my life seen a team down 3-1 and I'm like, they could win. Like, most of the time you're like, it's done. Like, no questions asked. The teams come back, but like, it's usually surprising. If Edmonton comes back, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm really not. They have carried play, and if they can continue to carry play and just beat Bobrovsky, they have a chance to do something special in this series. It would be considered by many, including myself, to be the greatest comeback in the history of hockey, because only 4 teams have ever come back from 3-0 in hockey. Only 1 in baseball, none in the NBA. But 4 have in hockey. Only one of them was in the Stanley Cup final, and it was the Leafs in the 40s when there were only 6 teams. So that one doesn't really count. The last time a team did it in what you would call the modern era, the Los Angeles Kings were down 3-0 to the San Jose Sharks in 2014, and they went all the way to the Stanley Cup final that year after coming back from down 3-0 in the first round series. Obviously, a big difference between a first round series and a Stanley Cup final, but there's elite talent all over the ice, Joe. The last time the Stanley Cup had this much talent in it on both sides was probably when the Hawks played the Lightning in 2015.
Yeah.
You know, the Lightning had Kucherov and Stamkos and Hitmen, Vasilevsky, and Bishop were their goalies. They both played. It was before Vasilevsky was what he became. The Hawks had Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, Hall of Famers, Duncan Keith, one of the greatest defensemen of all time. Corey Crawford was elite. Brent Seabrook was fantastic. So, like, I think of that when I think of this series with Alexander Barkov and Sam Reinhart, Aaron Ekblad, Matthew Tkachuk, who's a beast. Then you go to the Oilers. 2 best players in the league are on the Oilers, Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. It's been an incredible series so far. For being a 3-1 series, I would say it's been pure entertainment because there's just so much skill all over the place. And if the Florida Panthers win tomorrow, they'll win the Stanley Cup for the first time ever. And there's a lot of things that they could point to say, why did they win the Stanley Cup? And they traded for Matthew Tkachuk on a summer night 2 years ago. And they took Alexander Barkov 2nd overall when he wasn't supposed to go till like 5th or 6th. And if they could redo that draft again, they would take him right in that spot again and let all the haters keep talking. They took Aaron Ekblad 1st overall in 2014. That was it was a compelling pick. There were like 3 guys that could go. Who's Florida going to take? They took Ekblad. He's been amazing. They got Gustav Forsling off of waivers. And he's been the best defensive defenseman in the playoffs, I would say. So there's just so many great storylines, and as you could tell, I love talking about it. I could ramble on for another hour about the Stanley Cup final, but man, it has been a great year overall. I think it's one of the greatest hockey seasons ever, and my favorite team mostly stunk. They were as average could be, and they had the 3rd best odds to win the Stanley Cup coming into the season, and they were as average as all hell, and I'm still saying that this is one of the greatest seasons of all time because we had a guy score 69 goals. We had 3 guys have 135 plus points. Alexander Ovechkin had a second half surge that is unlike anything we've ever seen from a 38-year-old. He's now 42 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time record. I mean, it was truly a wonderful season from top to bottom. If you look at the landscape of the whole league, the trade deadline was incredible. Teams came back and made the playoffs. Sidney Crosby was outstanding. It was one of his best years ever. He's 36 now. He looked like Sid the Kid again. Evgeny Malkin stayed healthy. Like, there's just all these things that happen, and there's a Canadian team in the final. Like, just everything about this year has been awesome, and man, it makes me, right when it's over, I'm gonna be like, can we do that again next year? Let's go. Mm-hmm. But I'll be done now. But man, I could go on for hours and hours.
It's all good, dude.
Great.
The other day, I was looking up somebody asked me about Gretzky. I think it was my dad, and just his statistics. And I forgot he had a 92 goal season in 81.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
So there's a lot of debate on who's the greatest athlete at their sport of all time. Obviously, Michael Jeffrey Jordan comes to a lot of people's mind, right?
Sure.
People think of Babe Ruth, even though I think Babe Ruth kind of sucked. He was just better than all the truck drivers that played for the other teams. I think Ohtani's way better than Babe Ruth. It's not even close. Babe Ruth wouldn't even be in my top 10. But he's in a lot of people's conversation. People think of Michael Phelps in the Olympics. Simone Biles with gymnastics. Like the greatest athletes at their sport. Wayne Gretzky was the most statistically dominant. If he never, ever, ever scored a goal, if you delete all 894 of his goals, he is still the NHL's all-time leading scorer. He has more assists than anybody else has points. And it is just remarkable how actually dominant he was statistically.
You know how many assists Gretzky had in his career?
How many? It's like
1,963.
Yeah, and Jaromir Jagr is the second all-time leading scorer with like 1,902 points or something like that. Like, so goals plus assists equals points. Gretzky would be the all-time leading scorer on points just with his assists.
Yeah, Gretzky's
and he's the all-time leader in goals.
Yeah, Gretzky's points. He's got 2,857 career points.
Yes. I am hopeful, Joe. I have a little amount of faith. I thoroughly think Ovechkin breaks the goal record. He needs 42 more to tie, 43 to break. He could do it next year, likely the year after. He'll be 40, but he'll only need like 30 next year and then 5 the year after. No, 12 the year after. But Crosby has like 592 goals. There's a world where if he continues to just be a really solid 37, 38, 39-year-old, where he could have 700 goals and 1,300 assists for 2,000 points and be the second player to ever have 2,000 points. I think that is within reach for Sid. I think he wants that. And that's a storyline to look out for next year, the year after, the year after that. But there's a lot of cool stuff going on in the NHL. It's the golden era. I do believe we're coming out of the golden era in the NFL. Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady were all in their prime at the same time. We have Alexander Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, and Connor McDavid all going at the same time. It's pretty similar to a golden era type thing going on right now.
That's really interesting, Vin. I love that. And I love that we get some appreciation for Gretzky too. I mean, hard to believe the guy played 21 seasons in the NHL.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
And like he's got like some video game type records that like no one will ever break the points record. Connor McDavid, he'll probably end close to 2,000 points. He'll be 900 off Gretzky. Like it's just impossible to recreate those numbers. These 200-point seasons are long gone. The fact that McDavid had 100 assists this season, people lost their minds over it. Like,
yeah.
And Kucherov also had 100. They were the fourth and fifth player to ever do it. But
you know how many assists like Wayne Gretzky had in 1984 or 1985? 85.
1985. So he's probably 25 at this point.
Something like that.
I'm gonna guess Gretzky had 190 something assists.
Oh, that's a good guess, but 163.
163, and he probably had 70 goals?
52.
That's a lot.
163 is his biggest assist year of his career, which is wild.
To put that into perspective, there has never been a player in the history, and the New Jersey Devils have won 3 cups. They're no joke all time. They've been a joke the last 10 years outside of one, but it's a Stanley Cup winning organization 3 times. Like they've been respectable. They've never had a player have 50 goals, and they've never had a player with 100 points.
So, yeah, let alone Gretzky with 163 assists and freaking
Exactly. Now, Jack Hughes probably will have at least 150 burger in his career. He'll probably have 100 points. He had 99 2 years ago now. It'll happen because they don't rely on goaltending and defense anymore like they used to. But, I mean, just the different play styles going on. The NHL's fun. I can't I can't say it enough how if you're into sports, but you leave off hockey for whatever reason, like you're into basketball, football, and baseball. I love those things too, especially football and baseball. But, you know, hockey is just, it's got so many cool things, and every team has something compelling about them. The salary cap makes it easy for every team to stay moderately relevant because there's also a salary cap floor. You can't spend $100,000 on your roster. You have to spend at least 46 or 47 million on your roster. So there's going to be at least one good player on your team. So
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't know. I'm already excited for the draft in summer, and Celebrini's going to be a Shark. Like it's going to be great.
Love it, man. All great hockey talk, and you can get more of it if you tune into Bar Down Talking Hockey on Wednesday afternoon. If we're hoping for the fun of the series, hopefully we don't have a Stanley Cup champion by then, but anything is possible. Tune in Wednesday afternoon for more there. Vin, great talking hockey. But we also got to talk one of our other passions, Vin, and that's Star Wars. It's been a bit of a hot topic across the interwebs, in that of The Acolyte, the latest Star Wars show, which takes place 100 years before The Phantom Menace, and it's the first time we're seeing live action anything that has nothing to do with the Skywalkers in any capacity. So, I really like the first 2 episodes a lot. I like the intrigue, I like the mystery, I like that it feels Star Wars. There's a couple nitpicks, which we'll get to in a minute. The 3rd episode, I had a little bit of a harder time with. I don't know if you feel the same way. I enjoyed the episode, and I don't want to get too spoilery for people, but and again, it's not so much about like it's women witches. I don't care about it, being women. I think it's great for Star Wars. They have women. Just the thought of it was always, as a Star Wars fan to me, Vin, that Anakin was the only person that was conceived from the Force, right? And the fact that there's 2 Force users, where's my hand, that were conceived with, again, we don't necessarily know it was the Force. They're witches. Maybe it's different powers. Maybe that's how it gets explained. I don't know. But I had to get your thoughts about this.
Yeah, I mean, clearly whatever it is that made them, it wasn't as powerful as Palpatine influencing midichlorians to create Anakin. They didn't become the chosen one, the all-time great slayer of people that Anakin ultimately became. But the mystery behind it all is interesting to me. I thought the 3rd episode, it was a little not snoozy, because I like good dialogue and I don't need lightsabers in every scene to make Star Wars interesting to me. Just watch Mandalorian to understand that. But the end, it got a little interesting there, and I just have so much intrigue. I'm so excited to learn who the master is. Who is behind all this?
Text the other day,
yeah. Who is May? And now I'm drawing a blank on the other girl, though. May, and who's
Osha.
The other one? Osha. I can remember that using Omega. So there's Omega in the Bad Batch and Osha in this. And yeah,
the way to
May
remember
and Osha.
The way to remember her name, Vin, is remember what her job was in the beginning of the show?
Her job in the beginning of the show.
She goes
yeah,
out.
she's like a maintenance type person, right?
You mean occupational safety hazard? OSHA?
Oh.
I think that's partially intentional.
I would bet a large sum of money that's not intentional, or is intentional. Very good pull, Joe.
Thank
you. Now that's A+ movie watching or program watching right there. They teach you how to pull stuff like that in college courses, when you movie courses that I've taken in college and stuff. That's good. That's good stuff. OSHA. I love that.
And perhaps it points to a more crazy happening in the latter half of the show. But I do agree with you, Vin. There's a lot of great characters, a lot of people that could be this mysterious master, or perhaps we haven't met who the master is yet. But I want to see some serious lightsaber stuff. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, there's going to be something. I think we'll see Yoda once.
See, they interviewed the director, and they flat out asked, and she said no. But it could be a diversion.
Yeah,
he would be.
They asked if Yoda would be in it or if a familiar character.
If Yoda, they specifically asked if Yoda would be in it.
Okay,
because he would be around 100 years old, I think, at the time of this movie.
Yeah, he's alive for sure.
I mean, maybe they'll talk about him. All I want to do is get a glimpse or a mention of Yoda.
Yeah. He's the only one that you can guarantee is around somewhere in the galaxy. But
can you imagine the plot twist if Yoda's the master?
Exactly. Yeah, that would be crazy. That would piss me off.
That would not happen.
The fact that they're on Coruscant as much as they are is what makes me think, how are we on Coruscant this much and you're just not going to show Yoda once? It doesn't line up for me.
Yeah, I don't know if they even have the story of how he came into power to be a master. I don't know. I mean, I want to watch that.
Oh, one day we'll get a Yoda show, right? There has to be. If you think about the character of Yoda, I feel this way about Boba Fett too. Until the book of Boba Fett, he's the most talked about, beloved character in any movie or book or story or anything to have a grand total of 30 seconds of screen time between 3 movies.
Yeah.
And he was just one of the most intriguing, popular characters in the 80s. And if you add up every second he's on the screen, you're barely over a minute. Yeah. And a Yoda, it's not quite that little amount of time, but it's not this great amount. He's not a main character by any means in any of the movies, not even literally there's no story where Yoda is the main character. He's barely the main character of a scene at any given point. So
Empire Strikes
I'd
Back
like to see them.
Is Yoda's swan song.
Yeah. In The Empire Strikes Back, he helps Luke a little bit. And then in Return of the Jedi, he has his moment with Luke too. But I actually just recently watched The Rise of not The Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi. And he's in that for a full scene with Luke.
He's also in Rise of Skywalker. I think that's what you're talking about. He was in Rise of Skywalker. I don't think he was in Last Jedi.
No, he's in The Last Jedi when they take down the Jedi Temple or the lightning.
That can't say the Rise of Skywalker, wasn't it?
No, that's in Last Jedi. I don't want to say too many spoilers because there might be some people watching that might run Star Wars for the first time sometime soon, but there is a scene in Last Jedi.
Okay, I'm mixing the movies together. You're right.
It's because they're both mid Star Wars movies, but I'm one of those people that if it's Star Wars, even if it doesn't fit what you think it should be, I want to watch it because it's Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the Acolyte for what it is. I don't think it's the greatest show ever, but I'm enjoying it.
Do you think there's a chance? Do you think there's a chance it's the 3rd or 4th best Star Wars show, though? By the time it's all said and done, if it finishes in such a way?
There's a chance. I don't think it's going to be, but there's certainly a chance.
Mando's 1. I would put
either Mando or
Ahsoka
Andor.
Andor.
Did you watch
a lot
Andor?
Of people. I never watched Andor.
Watch Andor. It's probably 1 or 2.
Okay.
Mando for me is probably 1 just because of my connection to it, but Andor is really good. I liked Ahsoka. My wife didn't like Ahsoka as much as I did.
It's just the feels with
then
Ahsoka.
I'll put Obi-Wan. The worst is Book of Boba Fett. It was my least favorite. Boba Fett wasn't even the main character in his own show. It was Mandalorian season 2.5.
Yes,
and
that's
Boba
the
Fett,
thing, though.
He was in a healing tank for the whole show.
Yeah, but the best episode of Book of Boba Fett
It was the
is
Mando
like
episode.
S tier. It's like a
Yeah.
good episode. Like
Yeah.
would watch again and again
Well,
and again throughout
It's
life.
because he wasn't in it. He wasn't in it at all. He wasn't in the episode for He wasn't in the episode for 10 seconds.
And that goes back to what I was saying about Boba Fett as a character. He's the most popular, irrelevant character of all time.
Facts.
He's even irrelevant in Attack of the Clones. He's an annoying ass kid that really pisses me off.
Remember when he picks up his dad's helmet after he gets his head chopped off?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
It's like he decided right there what his life was going to look like. I love that. Is that the ship Obi-Wan chase? Oh, that's
no.
Mando's
This
ship.
is the Mando ship right here.
Hell yeah, love that. Nerdy.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Don't care.
Don't care.
I literally mentioned in the tweet that Star Wars will be talked about on this show. We did it.
I know. I saw your tweet when we went live, and I was like, that's what I'm going to follow. I'm like, yeah, it works just fine. Other Star Wars to wrap up the Acolyte, I'm looking forward to what they do with it the rest of the way. Excited to see a story outside of the Skywalker saga, and a Jedi Wookiee is exciting for next week. So I'm sorry, for tomorrow.
Yeah. Tomorrow's a double feature screen. The Stanley Cup final followed by the Acolyte. It's going to be a good night in the world of people who fancy themselves some hockey and some Star Wars.
Yeah. And the next season of The Bear drops this week too, so all good.
I need to catch up.
Yes,
I need to get on that train. I've heard good things.
You haven't watched any of it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, it's going to own your life.
Hell yeah. I love when things own my life.
And it's in space in Chicago. You're gonna blow a salty load, Vin, just watching the show because of all the good food they show.
That's amazing.
So staying on the Star Wars train for a second, Vin. I know I've been talking to you about this, and our listenership, people tuned in more when we started talking about Star Wars, which is funny.
I mean, I would.
I'll take it. Not too much. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of buzz about it, but last 2 weeks ago, a game launched on mobile phones and on Nintendo Switch. It's a free-to-play game. It's called Star Wars Hunters. It's basically Star Wars Overwatch, if you've ever played Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
4-on-4 battles. It's a free game. Hell of a whole lot of fun, man, especially for a free game. I'm loving it. Highly recommend playing it on the Switch. 1, because you got joysticks. And 2, you can link it to your Nintendo account. But man, I've been really enjoying it.
I have images up of it right now, and I will say, this looks neat.
It looks good for a free-to-play game. I mean,
yeah, it's just wild to me. iPhone, Android, and Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I feel like they're missing out on some players by not putting it on the bigger consoles, but I think part of it is intentional because it's a 4-on-4 game, and if you put a game like that on a big platform, maybe that's a problem. I don't know.
That makes sense.
I'm pulling up.
That makes sense. I'm gonna play it. I busted it out because you said it.
There you go. I'm pulling up.
We are ready to rock.
There you go, buddy. Get that stuff downloading. We can party up. Bazooka Joe 88. Add me on Star Wars Hunters. If you're a friend of the show, that's my username. I'm pulling up. Let me go back to it. Darn. Hang on. Where's it at? My mouse is being funky. So here we go. Let's take a look at Star Wars Hunters.
Oh yeah, this looks cool.
I mean, it's pretty sweet and obviously the Mando character you're seeing on the screen, he's the one character that's part of like this battle pass you got to pay $10 for, but everybody else you can unlock from playing. And again,
that's pretty cool.
Yes, as you could imagine, there is microtransactions up the wazoo. You can get costumes and whatever you want to pay for, but just play for free. I'm really enjoying it. I'm playing as that character right there in the middle with the mask and the bounty hunter, waiting to unlock, some good stuff. But really cool. 4-on-4. It's fun. Passes the time. The matches don't take forever. Really impressed with it, especially for a free game. It's developed by Zynga, the folks that did Words with Friends and various other things. So definitely a very mobile friendly. I will say I did try to play it on my phone. A little tough with the touchscreen, unless you pair a controller to your phone, which a lot of them do that. But
I've never done that.
Yeah, you can pair almost any controller to your phone using Bluetooth, but again, at that rate, I'd rather just play it on my Switch.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have all this Switch stuff to be using my phone.
Yeah,
How am I going to tweet? How am I going to tweet while playing the game if I'm playing it on my phone?
I hear you, but just had to get that out of the way, man. I'm enjoying Hunters. It's especially for the dads out there that are watching. You only get a little bit of video game time as a dad. Hunters, I could play 4 or 5 matches probably in 15, 20 minutes. So,
yep.
Level
the
up.
Fix in.
Get a little fix. Bada bing, bada boom. It's very enjoyable. So just wanted to put that out there. I think you'll really like it too, Vin.
100%. I'm all in. I want to play it, especially since it's free to play. Sounds amazing.
There you go, man. We'll have to talk more about it once you get in it. But we had quite a run the gamut of conversation tonight. We had some White Sox talk. We dove into some Stanley Cup final chat, some Star Wars talk, and here we are. Had some dad parenthood chat in the beginning of the show. Exciting stuff.
Congratulations,
some dad
again.
jokes. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. It's a fun time for sure. The world is very exciting. Oh, and we're potty training our 2.5-year-old, so that's been a very good success so far. So hopefully it trends that way.
I love it.
A lot of little potties and all that fun stuff. I got like little potties all over. I got like 3 or 4 of them all over my house now.
Well, hopefully she uses them.
So far, so good, man.
Love that.
Heck yeah. And then my wife and my daughter took me out to this awesome sushi spot in South Bend on Sunday for Father's Day. It was very enjoyable. I loved it. So it was a good time.
I love that. Other than that, your Father's Day was good all around?
Oh, it was great, man. I just spent it with my wife and my daughter and my dog. And of course, they woke me up, gave me my presents. I got this really awesome memory foam pillow that I've been crying about for like 2 years because I'm like, oh, my pillow stinks. I want to try memory foam, but I don't know. And night number 1 was a smashing success. So we'll see how it adapts. But so far, so good there.
Very good. I'm glad you had a good Father's Day. You deserve it.
Appreciate it, man. Same to all the dads out there and everyone in the chat. Special mention to Steven Zimmerman as well. Celebrating Father's Day while moving cross country from
basically
Colorado to Iowa. Not quite cross country, but certainly a heck of a ride. He sent me a picture of the moving van and then another trailer filled with stuff. I'm like, oh, I remember those days. The move is, especially going that far with a mega truck, that's whew. I don't
envy him at all. I mean, I envy him because he's awesome, but I don't envy having to go through what he's going through right now.
Certainly a lot, but hey, it's all worth it. He's got his own place. All things are exciting for him and his family, so we are wishing them the best.
Absolutely.
Vin, you got any shout-outs you want to get out of the way before we wrap things up here?
Yeah, shout out to Katie. I love you very much. Thank you for everything. You're my favorite. Happy Father's Day to my dad. Very thrilled that I got to spend the whole weekend with him. It was an absolute time. We watched The Batman.
The Pattinson version?
The Pattinson one. Yep. It was his first time ever seeing it. Kind of kind of late at night, a little dozing here and there at the end, but we'll make sure he catches the end. Yeah, it's very long. We'll make sure he catches the end again later, but it was fun hanging out. Sunday all day, Father's Day. Good stuff. I actually really enjoyed the weekend. We had a good time together. And then shout out to you, Joe Mandel. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day this year. I mean, what a special time to kind of around Father's Day. I'm sure you told members of your family at different various points, but like for it to be around Father's Day to start letting people know that news, that's awesome, dude. That's got to be the thrill of a lifetime. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, it's really cool. We're waiting to a certain point with the suspicions and everything, but got through that first trimester and now we're chugging
did she
along.
Go through a phase like when she hangs out with her friends or seeing people like, I'll have a water. Like there's some people like when they have a water, I'm like, what's up with you?
Yeah.
When I have a water or a pop, people are like, oh, there's just Vinnie not drinking alcohol right now. But like there are some people where it's like, I'll have a water. I'm like, what? You'll have what?
Yeah, my wife's not a big drinker, and she'll socially drink once in a while.
So she can get around it a little bit. Yeah,
she could get around it more than the average person. Yeah,
yeah. Some people are, oh my God, you're having what? You might as well have told the bartender you wanted a cup of pee. My goodness.
Oh, I remember one time we were in Vegas with my wife and then my brother-in-law and his wife, and she was expecting at the time. It was my wife. No, was Catherine pregnant? I don't remember. Somebody, one of them was pregnant, and then she went to go order a drink, and she got like, I don't know, a Sprite or something, and he's like, oh, you do know you're in Vegas, right? And she's like, I'm expecting, man, or something along those lines. It's like,
yeah, doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah, although I'm sure there are some people out there that still drink, but not recommended per the guidelines.
Test after your trip to Vegas. That's my.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. But appreciate that, man. I appreciate the shout out. It was a good time. You got anything else before you wrap up your shout out? You good?
Nope, I'm all good. Let's hear it.
Awesome, man. I want to give a shout out to all the dads out there. My dad, all the folks in my life, my godfather, my friends that are fathers. I got a lot of them tuning in. My buddy Nick Wolek is a father. My friend Luke Kalintasis is a new father. Exciting stuff across the board. So
say that last friend's name again.
Luke Kalintasis.
Is he Greek?
Kalintasis. What gave it away?
I love that name. I love it. If I wasn't Italian, Greek would be high on my list of something I would want to be. I don't know what would be the definitive number 2 behind Italian, but hell yeah to the Greeks.
Greek food is fantastic as well.
Sure
put
is.
that out there.
Oh, it's on the VP food Mount Rushmore, I think. Of
the proper Greek food, like Greek islands or going to like Greek town.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I mean, I'm sure it's even better in Greece, but
Oh yeah.
Nothing better than a gyro with tzatziki and some onions and tomatoes. Oh, I want one now.
I would go right now. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I totally got lost in my train of thought.
Sorry, I messed up. You could mess up my shout outs next week.
What was I talking about? How did I get on
I think you were done.
Oh, shouting out fathers. Yeah.
Yeah, you just like ripped off. I think you were basically done, but still. You can mess up my shout outs next week.
No, it's all good.
I won't be here because the Oilers are playing. Just kidding.
In theory.
Probably not, but.
Well, you never know. Could happen. Of course, I'm going to shout out my beautiful wife, Catherine, going through it all with the pregnancy, doing a great job. So, love her. And I'll be in there to see you here in a few minutes, babe. My beautiful daughter, Audrey, 2.5 years old. Loved every second of it. She's going to be a big sister. She's excited about that. And she's going through potty training, which is a party, but it's a potty party. But she's doing a great job so far. So that's exciting too. And my Great Dane Maverick, who even got me a Father's Day card yesterday, which was adorable. So, man, he's got really good handwriting too. It's amazing. He's a ham, so I love all that. And what else do I got? Shout out to everyone in the chat room that was hanging out. We had our buddy Gabe. We got PZ in the chat. I think I saw Zim pop in for a minute, and obviously he wasn't fully invested. He's moving, so the fact that he even turned it on, I thought was pretty cool. But that's what I got. Shout out to Aldo Gandia for letting us do this every week. The platform, Mike and BB North for letting me be a part of Somebody Big Just Died. We of course did one on the great Jerry West, who passed away last week. We just did a show the other day. If you missed that, it's on the network. You can go on YouTube or anywhere you can find the shows on YouTube and check it out. Also, there's great stuff coming up this week on the Barroom. I think Dan and Aldo are coming on. Greg Gabriel talking football. Friday night, Greg Gabriel was on Willis Twin Towers, so that is available now as well on streaming. Bar Down talking hockey. Weekend sports betting tips. Of course, there's so many great shows on this network. And hit that subscribe button and like to get notified every time we go live. So I think I got it all out of the way, Vin. I think that puts a cap on it. An hour and 40-minute show. Pretty good stuff. Had a lot of fun. Always fun talking with you, my friend.
It sure is. Joe, if you had to guess which show was longer between last week and this week, which would you guess?
I think this show was a little bit longer because last week I think we hit an hour and a half on the head, I think.
Almost on the head. It was an hour 32.
Yeah.
Or 27. I don't remember. It was something like that.
Well, between the Star Wars and hockey talk, we just took it over the edge. But always fun. Always fun. Good talk. Good talk in Star Wars, hockey, of course, White Sox baseball. It's probably out of order there, but you can put your own order as you will for the order of things that you're interested in. But there'll be some stuff to talk about next week. We'll see what the White Sox do and against the Astros. And why did I forget who they're playing this weekend? The Tigers?
Tigers.
Yeah, so Astros, Tigers. Do we get one more win? Do we get to 20 wins? I don't know. We'll find out. Tune in again on Monday. We'll have plenty to talk about. There is no Vinnie next week. So it's either going to be, well, there might be Vinnie if there's no hockey, right?
Yep. I mean, I'll contribute to the show in one way or another, but
we'll play it by ear. If there's no Vinnie and there's no Zim, then I don't know what we're doing.
Maybe we'll do Tuesday or something.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll play it by ear next week.
Or Monday
stay tuned
at 5.
on social media. We'll let you guys know what's going on. Maybe the hockey gods give us a Game 7. Maybe they don't. Stay tuned. But nonetheless, great talking with you guys. Thanks for tuning in to South Burbs Hitmen. For the South Burbs Hitmen, I'm Joe Mandel. That's Vinnie Parisi. And Steven Zim Zimmerman's in a truck driving all his stuff to his new house. So he's busy, but we wish him all the best. And no matter what part of the country, where we're driving with a truck full of stuff or talking about Star Wars and hockey, at the end of the day, we're always rooting for that one team. That's the Chicago White Sox. And no matter what, good or bad, go White Sox. See you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.